Mark, to start with then, tell us about the range of your new job with Glamorgan.
Oh, fairly wide, Nick, to be truthful with you. So primarily my role is going to be looking after the junior academy and junior pathway. So that was obviously has come across from Cricket Wales into Glamorgan sort of ownership. So it's supporting the coaches within that and helping young children develop to their full capacity. So that's sort of the majority of it. And the other role then is based with the professional players, supporting them and overcoming sort of any barriers that they have in regards to learning or performance. So quite a varied post.
So you talk about the youngsters being coached by Glamorgan rather than by Cricket Wales. Then what's the thinking behind that move, and how much difference will it actually make?
I think it's been in the pipeline for quite a bit in regards to sort of a lot of the first-class counties taking over their pathway systems, so they have a little bit more ownership. I think there won't be too many differences. I think it just gives the young people the opportunity to be coached by the professional coaches at the club. And I think that's quite motivational, but also very helpful for coaches to build up a relationship with them, because I think having strong relationships with young people and helping them develop is a really powerful sort of mechanism.
But you had your foot in the door last summer. You were seen around with the first team there.
Yeah, that was a great experience to be around sort of professional sport again. It's been quite a long time since I've been sort of at that level, so it was great to be around them. And it's a totally different outlook to developing young people to being in around professional athletes, where performance and getting results is critical to the success of the club.
Yeah, to many of the Welsh sporting public, you'll be best known as Cardiff City goalkeeper back in the early 2000s. What are your favourite memories from that spell?
It was a really good time, really. One I was, I'd lived away for a long time, since I was sort of 16, coming back at sort of 30. And then the club obviously sort of escalating rapidly, really, even in my time there. So yeah, seeing the growth of that from being a club that was struggling with all the takeover of Simon Mann and how it developed was a really good experience, really. And I was probably old enough to appreciate the direction it was going in and how quick it was going in.
So which managers did you work under there?
Oh, there was quite a few. So when I first came in there was a chap called Billy Eyre who brought me to the club. He was then replaced by Bobby Gould and Alan Cork, and then Lenny Lawrence after that. So there was a lot of management movement in a short period of time, as there were players moving around as well.
But you played with some other big clubs as well, down at Brighton for a few years, and some top-level experience with Norwich. Tell us about those.
Yeah, it seems quite a long time ago now, but just great experiences, because you meet some varied people, and within this role, one of the things that hopefully I can bring to it is people operate very, very differently, and it's appreciating that, but trying to get the best out of players. So yeah, at Norwich it was great to be alongside some outstanding players, really, and watching them operate and how they went about their business. And Brighton was very similar to Cardiff, really. They had sort of fallen from grace, but were rebuilding. So I think it teaches you many lessons when you reflect on it, and I think that's sort of critical, really, to be able to help players now, really, in their position.
And I gather you had a bit of FA Cup glory along the way.
Oh, well, a few wins, Nick, but never really was one step away from getting to the biggest game of all. But sadly, that didn't work out. But yeah, again, when you reflect on it, they're really good experiences, because you can maybe help people who are going through these things. And I just think it's a great sport. Brings so much to people, and it gives you so much, but there's also the other side of it, where it's an emotional roller coaster. I'm sure you, from your commentating, have been through them yourself.
But, you managed to play cricket to a decent level alongside your professional football career. That must have been quite tricky at times.
It was. So I think it was a lot easier in days gone by. There were, very little. There wasn't any social media or mobile phones, so you could sneak in games whenever you could. So I generally played 10 or 15 games a year, and try and cram them in midweek. So it's always been a passion of mine, and I've sort of 20 years ago, sort of fell into it really with the coaching, and it's just flowered and prospered, and it's a great game to be involved in.
Now, looking at your current role then, junior academy, how frequently do you get the chance to work with these youngsters? Because obviously most of the time they're involved with school or college as well.
Yeah, so currently, obviously, it's immensely difficult, but they although I wasn't with them in late last year, so it'll be 2 or 3 nights a week. So there'll be plenty of cricket available, and hopefully we get plenty of cricket this summer. So the games will be anything from 10 to 15 games for each of action for young people, depending on obviously the restrictions sort of being lifted. It'll be, like I said, 3 times a week with multiple games in the summer and training camps, and also with the senior academy who are training 3 times a week at the moment as well. So there's plenty of cricket.
Absolutely. And how much potential do you think there is in terms of developing more Welsh youngsters to come through for the first team? Because it's one of the perennial cries of supporters, isn't it? They want to see more Welsh products in the first side.
Yeah, there's no more talent anywhere else. It's just a matter of actually being able to identify it and develop it. And then hopefully now with the club taking over the pathway system, there'll be more things in place where we can actually develop these. So look, it's not going to happen overnight. There's a really good crop currently in the academy, and it's about us working really hard with the young boys, 11, 12, to get them to have the absolute best basics they can do. And then hopefully in years to come, we have this conveyor belt system coming along. So yeah, there's plenty of ability out there, but there's lots of ingredients that go into getting that ability to flower. So that's the club's job really, is to get enough water into the flower neck to get it to rise, and do the things that we love them to do, to be able to play professional cricket or close to it.
Absolutely. A lot of counties have the advantage of public schools. There's not so much of that in Wales, despite the efforts going on at Monmouth.
Yeah, look, Monmouth are really pushing sort of cricket, which is great. Look, we're never going to compete with some of the other counties because of their system. However, our club system is phenomenally strong, and that's a real strength. So I think that needs to be tapped into, because a lot of other regions don't have the strength and the amount of cricket being played. So we have to look at the positives in regards to what we can do. And geographically, it's very difficult, but it's something that we have to overcome to give all children an opportunity to be as good as they can be.
Absolutely, and I suppose you've got to get into different communities getting that message through, haven't you? Because there's so much Asian club cricket played, for example, but we're only just seeing the first couple of Welsh Asian players on the first side. Yeah,
definitely. And I think there was a piece this week on Prem Sisodia, and he's coming from Grangetown, and he's just a massive role model, and that is definitely, as you say, it's an area that we need to engage with and help them, because I think their fanaticism for cricket and their passion for it is something that we can help polish and harness. So yeah, that's a real opportunity for the club.
So how do you go about talent spotting at that young age then? How do you get people in to look at the county matches? But you've got to find people in the first place, haven't you?
Yeah, and I think it's Cricket Wales are running the regional setup, so that's just changed. So that would be a really good sort of ground to initially look from, but then going out and having a network of people who are going to go around and looking at people, and hopefully then they'll send recommendations. And I think it's critical to keep the net as wide as possible, so for as long as possible, because in the past it's been fairly tight that if you got picked at 11, you were probably playing when you were 14, 15. Well, if we can actually hold this net longer and longer and longer, we're giving people more opportunity to develop. And I think that's a critical area that we're going to try and look at and improve, to give everybody the opportunity, because we know there are people who develop very early, through relative age effect, where they're born in the year, with their growth spurts and also their cognitive development. So we really need to be switched on to giving everyone as long as possible, because you just never know.
Like most jobs in the country, it's not the ideal time to be operating. How are you going to get over the practical restrictions in the next few months?
Yeah, so there's a lot of online stuff, movement stuff, and strength and conditioning that's done. We're also sending skills every week for them to be able to practice. So as much as possible, we're supporting them within the conditions that we can. Sadly, with the weather, there's not many people who can go outside and hit tennis balls, but we're encouraging them at every opportunity to get a bat in their hand or a ball in their hand to try and develop their motor skills. So, as soon as we can, we'll be getting out, and hopefully sooner rather than later, where we can actually get some practicing. So yeah, trying our best to overcome everything in a difficult situation.
Is there anything much in the way of indoor nets that you're allowed to do at the moment?
At the moment, no. So the professional players are in very small groups, and then the academy, the senior academy, they are training because that's classed as elite. So they're in a couple of times a week, again in very small numbers. But sadly, the junior pathway is not running in regards to actual formal practice. But hopefully, the stuff that we're offering will keep them engaged and help them.
And your involvement with the first team, I mean, we saw you doing a lot of throwdowns in the nets last summer, is helping out in that way. How much are you going to be around the first 11 this summer?
Hopefully when the junior pathway isn't running, I'll be sort of there and supporting them and helping any way I can, really. I think with the fluctuating sort of difficulties of COVID, it'll depend on fixtures, but hopefully at every opportunity. So hopefully a really busy summer. That would be a great way to spend my first summer.